So now we are going to get into the Roth versus the traditional for TSP. So straight up, Roth is better. Why, right? So what the Roth does is it taxes you now based off of what you're putting in. And so when you go to take it out, all the money that you had placed into that contribution is now pre-taxed, and you won't get taxed again when you go to withdraw it. And we're being taxed right now at a much lower tax bracket than you will most likely be come retirement. So if you've managed your money well and you built up your assets and your wealth, you're going to get taxed later on in your life a lot more than you are now. So it's better to get those taxes done now. The traditional taxes you once you take the money out for everything, earnings and what you put in there. So that's really the big difference between the two. All right. So the different TSP funds, you can look up these online. So the TSP website has all this information. I'll just briefly explain them so you can kind of get a general understanding. So if you didn't know and you've been putting money into your TSP and you're not sure, or you never have and you know you never have logged into your TSP account, all of your money is currently sitting into the G fund. That's what it goes to. So you sign up for the TSP. It takes about 2 months to get your password because they mail it to you. It's a super slow process. So for about 2 months, your money's just sitting in the G fund. And when I first signed up for the TSP, that really irritated me. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So if you've been putting money into the TSP fund for the last few years and never logged in and changed it, your money's just sitting in the G fund. And I can tell you right now, that's about a 2% growth annually. It's basically nothing. You're barely even beating inflation at that point. So what you need to do is you need to log in and change where your funds are being allocated. So that being said, the G fund, right, is government securities. You're basically just getting interest on like the money you're investing. There's no risk to it. That's all you're getting is a very low interest rate. That's why it's that 2% average. The F fund is government and corporate or mortgage-backed bonds. Mortgage-backed bonds are relatively new. I won't rabbit hole into those, but so once again, you're basically just getting interest. There are some change in market prices, but the majority of that money is coming from interest. So the F fund, you might be getting a little bit higher than the 2%, but you're not really gaining much, right? It's pretty low risk. So the C fund, my favorite fund, follows the S&P 500, which has a moderate risk to it. You're getting your money from a lot of dividends, the changes in market prices, the buying and the selling of shares that this company does. Because the TSP is managed by a private firm. They're not managed by, army people sitting in an office somewhere. But so the C fund tracks the S&P 500, which are pretty much the top 500 traded companies on the stock market. Normally large, medium, some mega cap companies, but they're all US companies, right? So it's a relatively safe fund when you consider stocks, but it also yields like the highest returns. So it's a really good fund to get into. The S fund is for small caps and some medium caps. There's a lot higher risk to those. However, there's a lot more gain potential. So some of them pay dividends, not many of them. The majority of that money you're going to get is from the selling and buying of stocks at the low price, selling them at the highs. So there's a lot more gain potential. However, there's a lot more risk to it. And then you have the I fund, which are international stocks. And then you have the L funds, which I'll get into next. The L funds are pre-done portfolios for you, essentially, right? So let's say that I plan on retiring in 2050, right? That's the year I'm going to retire. So they have a fund every 10 years. They put out the new fund. 2050 means that right now, today, in 2018, I plan on retiring in 32 years. So I have 32 years to invest money, let it grow, and give it time to give me lots of returns. So it's going to start off, as you can see, primarily in the C fund. Almost 50% of it is in the C fund because C fund is more aggressive. There's moderate risk, but there's also the most returns, right? And then the G fund, F fund are relatively low. S and I fund are making up about a third of it. So that's the portfolio breakdown that this company does for us. So if we don't know anything about investing, we don't know exactly what percentages we want, we can just throw it in the 2050 fund and it will naturally split it up that way for us. So it's a really good tool if you don't know anything about investing. My suggestion is if you don't care and you don't want to learn, throw all your money in the 2050 and then forget about it until you turn 65, right? So the other perk of these L funds, as opposed to doing it yourself, is it naturally matures in the sense of you can see the difference between the 2050 and the 2020, right? In the 2020, over half of it is sitting in the G fund, and it does this naturally for you, so you don't actually have to change anything. So by the time the L2080 comes out, the L2050 is going to look exactly like the L2020, and the company is going to do this naturally over time. They're going to adjust where your money is invested into, so that way it slowly becomes safer and safer and safer. So that way, if there's a stock market crash or a huge recession or something like that, closer to your retirement age, you're not going to lose the majority of your money. And so they do that safer bet the closer you come to retirement. So that way, come retirement age, what you think you have is pretty much what you're going to have. And so that's a really huge benefit that they do for these L funds. So if you're not interested in learning, once again, 2050 it and then forget about it. All right, these stats, once again, all this stuff you can pull from the TSP website, but I did it for you anyways. So the TSP annual returns, these are some examples. It shows you on the top a 10-year average, or you can do the since inception. Since inception is kind of unfair because they were created at different times. So let's look at the 10-year, right? So the 2050 obviously has not been around for 10 years yet, so they don't have that average. But for the 5-year, you can see that the 2050 is the highest gainer as far as the L funds are concerned because it's more aggressive. So that's obviously why. And then let's look at the other funds, right? The G fund. Look at the 10-year average, 2.6%. The F fund, 4.5%. The C fund, 7%. The S fund, 8%. And the I fund, 1%. So you can see the S and the C fund are the highest rates of return because they're the most risky. Well, the I fund is relatively risky as well, but the C and the S have moderate to high risk, but they yield the most returns. So in my opinion, if you're going to do it on your own, I would C fund it about 50 to 65% of your investment, and then maybe 20 to 30% between the S and I fund, and then small amounts into the G and F, maybe 5 to 10% in the F and 5% in the G, something like that, right? However it works out to be 100%. And then you could just leave it like that if you aren't super worried about your money and something bad happening closer to retirement. So that way it doesn't naturally mature in an L fund. But that's up to you guys. All right, let's move on. All right, we're pretty much done. I know this video is long, but this is like an hour PowerPoint presentation that I could get into a lot of examples and rabbit holes, so I'm trying to be brief. But so the TSP, right? You'll have to adjust what you invest in on the TSP website. As I said, as soon as you start, it just goes to the G fund, and it will not move unless you log in yourself and change it. No one else can move it for you. So you got to get your password and do that. Once you do switch over to the new BRS, just to be safe, make sure you log in and ensure nothing changed, just to be safe. Because you never know what could happen. Maybe that new 5% is allocated automatically to the G fund. I don't know, and no one else will know until we start seeing it. So make sure you log in, right? So select the Roth or traditional in your MyPay, and then go to the TSP website and change which funds and what percentage you want allocated. So once you have gotten your password and you logged in and everything like that, everything that has been growing in the G fund, there's a place for you. It's called intra-fund transfer. So you can click that and you can click to transfer all of the money sitting in the G fund into whatever fund you choose. So let's say you want to put everything in the 2050. Let's say you got $2,000 in the G fund already. You put all $2,000 into the 2050, and then from then on out, it will be that $2,000 will be in the 2050. And then after the intra-fund transfer, you need to go to new asset allocation. Once you click on that tab, everything in the future for whatever you put there, let's say you do 100% in the L2050, and that's fine. 100% of your TSP will go into that 2050 fund. So the 5% you're putting in and the 5% they're matching will go to the 2050. So make sure you do both of those things. You can always adjust it as often as you want. So if you're not interested now, throw in the 2050. A couple years from now, you start learning about investing and you start getting excited about it. You want to log in and start messing with it yourself. You can do that. You can do it as many times as you want. Sometimes I've done it twice in a month. So that was a few years ago, but it's possible. And of course, the sooner you start, the better the compounding interest on returns can work for you. That's the whole point. So for the first 10 years of this TSP, the money is really not growing a whole lot because there's not a lot in there. It's the 20 plus 30 years of that money sitting in there just growing and compounding on itself. Compounding interest means, let's say you get 10% annually, right? And you have $1,000. So after 1 year, that $1,000 makes $100 because that's 10%. Well, the next year, you're going to get 10% of $1,100. So then you're going to get $110. And then the next year, that $1,210 is going to yield you 10%. You see what I'm saying? So as you add more money, each year the compounding interest is going to increase, plus the interest you earned last year is going to grow as well. So that's the beauty of compounding interest. It needs time to grow though. It's not put it in a year or two later, take it out. No, we're talking 20, 30 years to really see some crazy gains here. But that's the concept of compounding interest. These are some of the references that I used. dingytown.net. As always, I've been preaching that. It's great for calculators. The TSP website, obviously, JKO for the certificate, and then I use my Army benefits to get the base pays. So, I'm almost out of breath. I know this video is super long, but we're talking about, retirement. So spend 25 minutes to learn about the two different retirement systems, educate yourself, educate others, and make sure soldiers are making the right choices and they're logging in and actively changing their TSPs, because I spent 45 minutes with a friend and he's going to have an extra $30,000+ when he retires because we spent 45 minutes together. So it's worth it, right? Make sure you do it now, because 30 years from now, it's going to be a huge deal. All right. Hope this helped. As always, do this. My suggestion, 5% BRS, get the matching 5%, throw it in the L2050 fund, or asset allocation as an example that like I gave you, or however you want to do it. On top of that, make sure you have additional investments. Don't just do this, right? This is long term and you can't take it out. So as soon as you start investing it, you can't take it out until you're 65 without penalties, which yields you zero liquidity, right? The concept of liquidity meaning at any time you can buy and sell an investment. So a home, it offers you very little liquidity once you buy it. The TSP offers you even less liquidity than buying a home. Investing in the stock market gives you a lot of liquidity. Investing in bonds gives you less liquidity, so on and so forth, right? So invest on your own, invest with IFVI, invest with something to give you that short to mid life liquidity to where if you need the money back, you can get it, but it's growing in the meantime, right? That's the whole point.